Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of European Battle Royale. Let's get right into it. The Netherlands will be making an alliance with Sweden. So, feeling pressured by the Purple Alliance and the Cyan Alliance and the Nordic slash Scandinavian conflicts being behind them, Sweden is going to look for an alliance to join, and they could join the Green Alliance, and they could join the Cyan or Purple or Yellow Alliances, but they're going to choose to join the Orange Alliance. So they don't want to join the Cyan Alliance because they don't have good relations with Finland, and in fact, they actually tried to join the Cyan Alliance, and Finland didn't let them. They don't want to join the Purple Alliance because they hate Denmark. Denmark would have let them join, but they personally didn't want to join. They didn't want to join the other two alliances because they were too weak, so they joined the Orange Alliance. The Slavic Union will be invading Northeast. So, it's the moment that you've all been waiting for. Russia will finally be being invaded by the Slavic Union. And I think I'm actually going to keep the map zoomed out for this one because a lot of stuff is going to happen. Let me scroll a bit to the east, though. So, the gray countries will no longer be interfering with anything. I've done everything I needed to do to ensure the series stays with Europe, so we don't need to do that anymore. But the Slavic Union will make a decision that it is best for them to invade Russia, and they've been wanting to invade Russia for a really long time now. But it's only now that the Cyan Alliance, fearing Sweden having joined this alliance, decides it's finally time to actually do the invasion. And so it will go pretty well. They will start by taking this piece of land, which is why it's the Slavic Union invading Northeast, and basically just sending troops out in a way to make the front line as smooth as possible, to make it as difficult for Russia to invade them as possible. They will also quickly navally capture this sea, which I think is called the Sea of Azov, but I might be wrong, and use it to navally take the coastline surrounding the sea. And remember, this is also France, Portugal, Romania, and Finland are helping them out, although Finland's actually doing some invasion of their own, and they're getting dangerously close to St. Petersburg, which could be pretty dangerous for Russia. Russia was ready for this, but they still are struggling. Like, it's pretty impressive how well they've defended against countries that combined have way more troops than them, and way more economy than them, like an insane amount more economics than them, or insanely better economies than them, I should say. So it's pretty impressive how well Russia's doing given that, but they're still not doing well. They decide to defend St. Petersburg fiercely and focus on the southern front, pushing back and basically taking out the Ukrainian slash Slavic fleet in the Sea of Azov, and basically recapturing the Crimean Peninsula, which they had lost, but still has a lot of ethnic Russians there, so it's pretty easy to retake. They then start invading into eastern Ukraine and do surprisingly well given everything, but they're actually withdrawing a lot of troops from eastern Turkey, and Turkey basically threatens them and says, if you keep doing that to our people, we will have to get involved. And Russia's like, okay, so they stop doing that, and as soon as they stop doing that, Ukraine is able to push back, taking Crimea and pushing back over here. All the while, Finland has been slowly invading over here, taking a little bit of land, little by little, because Russia doesn't care that much about this land compared to their actual, like, inhabited land. But St. Petersburg is getting close to being surrounded, so Russia will make sure that doesn't happen by putting some forces up here. And they decided to withdraw fully from the Slavic Union's territory, but they didn't realize they would get pushed back so far. And officially, they decide that they don't care about Turkey anymore, and they start withdrawing troops from Turkey again. That actually allows them to have a massive counteroffensive up north, in which they even land on the East Karelia Peninsula, which had caused a disaster for them in their last war against Finland, invading into it and taking it with actually relative ease because Finland wasn't defending it as hard as they should have been. As you've probably expected, Turkey will now get involved and start invading into what used to be their territory, and it's going very well for them as they were very prepared for this war, and Russia has been withdrawing a lot of troops from here, which means they also don't have any troops stationed here, which means that Turkey's just basically having a free day with them. They didn't actually, I mean, they should have expected Turkey to do this, but they were kind of thinking the only way they could win is if Turkey didn't do that. And so once Turkey does this, they kind of are getting ready to throw in the towel as Turkey is retaking their whole country. Just when they think it can't get any worse, Estonia starts invading into them, taking a little bit of land. Not too much, but a little bit. And St. Petersburg is now being threatened even more, so Russia will withdraw troops from here to defend St. Petersburg, giving up the East Karelia Peninsula back to Finland, and just basically losing all of their territory in the Arctic Circle, as Finland strategically lands troops all over here, and it's very bad for Russia, let's put it that way. And Estonia helps Finland to encircle St. Petersburg, after which Russia kind of abandoned St. Petersburg using this lake to quickly and sneakily, at nighttime, withdraw all of their troops, allowing Estonia and Finland to combinedly capture St. Petersburg. I think St. Petersburg is actually here, but let's pretend it's here for the sake of what I just said making sense. Turkey is struggling to invade into parts of what used to be Georgia, so they will not be helping anymore. And in fact, they kind of make a deal with Russia, to stop the war between them. But at some point, Russia finally just has to throw in the towel and admit that they are not very strong, and maybe they should start looking to ally with countries. But I don't know which countries would be willing to ally with them. And this is what Russia's new borders look like in the north, and this is what Russia's new borders look like in the south, aka Turkey took all their land back. Well, besides from Greece. Romania will be invading northeast. There's not really any other way to put this. Romania betrays the Cyan Alliance. Unlike a lot of the countries left in this series, Romania is still a democracy. The Slavic Union is also a democracy, but a very, very flawed democracy. But Romania's people really didn't like that war with Russia. They didn't really help that much, and they kind of want to show who's boss. So the Romanian people elect a guy who's very sympathetic to Russia, who basically coordinates with Russia to invade the Slavic Union and basically show them who's boss. And the invasion starts out going relatively well, with Romania taking a bit of territory and Russia taking some of their old territory back, in the south. But things go pretty sour pretty quickly, as let's just say that Finland was prepared for this war, and they hadn't even fully withdrawn their troops from these areas yet because the peace treaty was just that recent. So, yeah, Russia might have made a mistake. And as soon as their land around the Sea of Azov starts being retaken, Russia will once again surrender, probably ending up losing even more land, but we'll see after this. And Romania will be betrayed by Ukraine, who starts invading into Romania. And I keep saying Ukraine, it's the Slavic Union. Just to make things even worse, Greece, as they always do, pounces in on things, taking southern Romania, and Hungary gets permission from the Orange Alliance to start taking parts of western Romania. And at this point, Romania realizes they've made a mistake, but although both Greece and Hungary let them surrender, the Slavic Union will not. They are too hurt by the betrayal, and they will take Romania to the final instance until Romania is destroyed. So let's see what the division of Romania looks like. And thus, Romania is divided up. Oh, and by the way, this is what Russia's new borders look like. They still have a very small border with this lake. The Netherlands will be making an alliance with Portugal. There's 4 options here. Portugal leaves the Cyan Alliance to join up with the Netherlands in the Orange Alliance. The Netherlands leaves the Orange Alliance to join the Cyan Alliance. The 2 alliances merge into one mega alliance. Or both of these countries leave and form their own alliance, which could also be one of the 3 other alliances. And it's the mega alliance option. The Netherlands and France don't like each other very much, but Portugal is really trying to mull over relations between them because they don't want to keep having to defend France. And eventually, they basically come to the agreement, hey, why don't our 2 alliances merge? Hungary and the Slavic Union just joined each other. Sweden has been wanting to join your alliance anyway, or our alliance, since it's Portugal talking. Iceland doesn't care at all. Switzerland is okay with it. Literally, it's good for everyone. Finland is the only one who's upset about it because they still hate Sweden, but they'll get over it as the Orange and Cyan alliances merge, And because it's the Netherlands who's the one that's joining a new alliance, it will become the Cyan Alliance. Now encompasses a majority of the population of Europe. Turkey will invade Northwest. With the Cyan Alliance being as powerful as they are, it's amazing that there's still a war that can go on without involving the Cyan Alliance. This one is Turkey versus Greece. And I think the causes of this war are pretty easy to understand. And that is that Turkey wants Istanbul, but now it's called Constantinople again. They want it back. And they start invading. And it actually goes pretty well for them. They take the Bosphorus Strait and quickly start invading. But the problem is that no one in the world really likes the Bosphorus being a war zone. And so Greece basically goes to everyone and is like, hey, Turkey's trying to turn the Bosphorus into a war zone, which means especially the Slavic Union and Russia, you can't get your troops out. That might be a problem for you guys. And so, in an unlikely alliance, the Slavic Union and Russia join forces, although the Slavic Union doesn't really do any of the work, they kind of just emotionally support, as they agree to invade Turkey together. And things might be going very badly for Turkey. The Slavic Union does invade troops over here that threaten Ankara, but most of the work is being done by the Russians, who in the east recapture a lot of the territory, which they had already moved a significant number of ethnic Russians to, who were unable to move back because Turkey wouldn't let them. And this means that Turkey is not able to hold on to this territory as easily as they would like. Of course, there's a Cypriot rebellion in favor of joining Greece, and Greece is able to retake the Bosphorus, which you would think would end the war there, but it doesn't, as this sea is taken, and essentially things just keep going worse and worse for Turkey, as a rebellion against their government by the Turks starts happening in the south of the country, which is used as Greeks land on Cyprus to start just absolutely crippling Turkey. Their entire Black Sea coast is taken by the Slavic Union, who starts going towards Ankara. And let's just say things don't end well for Turkey, as their government decides to surrender, but it's already basically been replaced by a different government that doesn't want to surrender. And when that one decides to surrender, it gets replaced by a third government that also doesn't want to surrender until there's no land controlled by Turkey anymore. So Turkey is actually the next country to get out. And this is what the new borders of what used to be Turkey look like. Oh, just to be clear, this is the Slavic Union. This is not Turkey. That's not Ireland. That's Iceland. We'll be making an alliance with Czechia. So Czechia will be joining the Cyan Alliance. I mean, it's pretty obvious why they would do that. Iceland will be invading northeast. So you might think, hey, there's no country northeast of Iceland, but if we zoom in a bit so you can actually see Svalbard, there kind of is. So Norway will actually be taken down by the Cyan Alliance. And they actually do have Iceland invading into here first because the Cyan Alliance wants to make sure Iceland actually does work. And this way, Iceland can get the troops there before the rest of the alliance has already taken Norway out. So, at this point, Norway is going to be taken out by the Cyan Alliance, and it happens extremely quickly and extremely rapidly and extremely easily until Denmark also starts invading into a southern part of Norway just to take some extra land. But in general, goodbye Norway, and hello, more Cyan Alliance power. One more event and then we'll end the episode. Oh, by the way, this is Iceland's territory. Greece will be invading west. So Greece will be invading into Italy, and they will have some help. Not from the Cyan Alliance, they want nothing to do with it, but from the Vatican and from San Marino. Greece will obviously be the one starting it because the two microstates want to make sure that Greece is actually helping them before they do anything. But as soon as Greece starts helping them, the Vatican and San Marino will quickly bridge the gap to the middle of Italy, separating northern Italy from southern Italy. France will then seize Sardinia, even though they're not doing anything else in the war, and Italy will just cede it. So, bye-bye Sardinia. Meanwhile, Greek troops are pretty easily taking all of the southern portions of Italy, as San Marino is invading over here, taking the Italian coastline, and even Slovenia gets in on this. They haven't done anything in a while, so it's nice to see them still in it. The Vatican will quickly invade up to here to ensure Slovenia doesn't get any of the land, nor France, as no one really wants to invade into the Vatican. A majority of France is still Catholic, so that wouldn't be a good idea. As the Vatican takes most of northern Italy to very little resistance, just because, again, they're Catholic. And together, the Vatican and San Marino have divided up most of northern and central Italy, whereas Greece has taken all of southern Italy, and together they have destroyed the Italian state. So you might notice, what is this country over here? Slovenia didn't take any land, and that's because this is still Italy. Slovenia set up an Italian puppet government in this land because they didn't want to administer it themselves. So Italy is technically still in it. This is all Greek, though. And with that, we will end the episode. So, all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, comment, whatever. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.